Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is LolaAjisafe, and today we're here discussing what I think is a really important topic. It's really not going to be like a panel discussion. It's more like, what are our opinions? And we're going to be talking about interracial relationships. Now, what got me thinking about discussing this was my brother in the middle, Dikwa, otherwise known as DJ Dips, has a podcast, the Unscripted. What's it called again, Dikwa? Please remind me. Unscripted, the podcast.
Yeah, Unscripted.
And so I was listening to him one day back from work, and he had something to say. And so I'm going to start our conversation by actually playing a snippet of what he said, and then I'm just going to ask him to talk about it, and then we'll just kind of go back and forth and discuss what we think, our opinions. So hold on, let me get this podcast thing.
The Niger babes are very stuck up, right? So if you approach a babe, they're already on the defensive. They already think that you're about to toast them and spit game. And sometimes it might not even be that way. You might just want to say hello, or you might just want to ask a question, self. But these babes are already on the defensive, like, okay, this guy's about to toast me. So
I never spoke to Nigerian girls outside the shores of Nigeria.
If I actually lived in Yankee or something, I'll probably be married to a white babe.
Yeah, it's not even white, but like if I met you and like in Nigerian, I already knew like in Nigeria you're already stuck up. And imagine you abroad, like you'd be extra stuck up, like.
But really, Sha, you think, well, why would you leave? You leave Nigeria, can't go another country, still go follow Nigeria babe again. Why now?
All right. So pretty much the jam of it for me was, he's like, if I was, abroad, away, yeah, I might just be with, a vanilla sister, or, a Puerto Rican sister, but definitely I'm staying away from my peoples. And so I just wanted you to, I guess, first of all, maybe the background may help. Like, is there some background you want to give us before we kind of delve into your opinion about it?
Let me see. So I'm not saying I'm not saying I'll stay away from. I'm not saying I'll stay away from my sisters. I'm saying I probably wouldn't go for the. Okay, so you're Nigerian, right? But you're more.
Yes.
You're like American Nigerian. You understand? So I would probably go for someone that is like you, because you're not Nigerian mentality wise. Do you understand? But of course, you're still Nigerian now. You feel me? But you've been Americanized, if that's even a word. You understand?
Westernized.
I mean, Niger babes have this. Yeah, westernized. Yeah, all that. Yeah. So, but Niger babes have this reputation of always being. I think stock up is the word we should use. Yeah, like you say what's up to a girl, and before you even say what you're about to say, she has put on this defense like you're about to toast her. And so I just want to ask you something like, how far? What time is it? Or how do I get to this place? Do you understand? But they're already thinking you want to toast them, and I hate that thing. Do you understand? So a lot of times I just stay away.
So okay, so you're talking more the mentality, not so much
the
appearance.
mentality, not the person. Yeah, the mentality. The Nigerian mentality. It's like it's inside them, like they're always on the defensive. They think everybody's about to toast them. Sometimes it's really not like that. Yeah.
Can I cut in?
Sometimes it's really not.
Yes, please go ahead. I'm listening.
Yeah. Like, I don't think in that regard they're that unique. Like, as in this thing about you approaching a woman and her straight away, especially if it's like at night, you're in a bar or something like that, and they straight away assume that you want something romantic. I think that happens here in Europe as well, and it's you could call it presumptuous, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like it is what it is. Like most of the time you probably are trying to talk to her like that.
So
but,
you made a point, right? You differentiated. You said it could be nighttime, maybe you're walking, or you made all those differentials. Do you understand? I'm just saying, like, majority, 90% of the time, they are like that. The Niger babes in Nigeria. Do you understand? And according to my friend, he says they're like that in the UK as well. I don't know. I've not tried toasting.
They're like that in the UK, is what your friend said.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said the Nigerian girls in the UK are like that as well. I've not tried toasting Nigerian girls in the UK, so I don't know.
No, it's like, for me, It's
I
not
don't know.
even like that.
I'm just saying,
I think
if
that
I was in the UK and I had an option, I'll probably go for the other side.
Okay.
But anyway,
So you've
yeah.
you've kind of tightened up a little bit. So let me put it to you like this. Oh, by the way, I didn't introduce my third person to my my left. Ayo, he's also my brother. He's actually in Ayo in Barcelona. Is that where you is?
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I guess a lot of the stuff we'll talk about now might be not necessarily personal experience, but maybe something you've witnessed. So because what I'm trying to differentiate is what we see a lot, right? Is what you said, Dipo, is conversation we hear all the time. Like you'll hear celebrities, particularly them talking about their preference, like and that's the question now is like are we thinking preference? Are we thinking choice? Or should we just just forget it? Like this is just what you find love is love. Or is there a certain way people are going? Are there certain things they're avoiding? So in your opinion, if you're looking at it, so I mean, people have all sorts of stats to suit what they want. But the question now is, interracial dating. Oh, there's two sides. There's if we just use the black man versus the white woman or any other nationality, or the black woman versus any other nationality. Now it appears to be more common when you see a black man with else. And so the question now is, you do get that conversation. And I've had that conversation too, where I say, I've realized and I've noticed that, particularly in bigger cities, New York City, definitely LA, definitely London, a lot of the time you will see a lot of black men. I'm not saying Nigerian, I'm just saying generally black men with a lot of women who aren't black. Like that's particularly, I mean, growing up in England, that was the norm. But also what the norm was then was, also black women were dating other races. Now that's not as common, but it's not something people are beginning to embrace. So it's like when you look at that, what do you think could be the reason? Like, is there an explanation for it, like for those kind of numbers, or is it just what it is?
For sure. I would say first and foremost, the first thing we have to say or establish is that most men, bar a very small percentage of men, they're not like the sexual selectors in an encounter, right? As in, a lot of us, we would take. I'm just gonna speak for myself and saying a lot of us. I would take the majority, right? There's a small percentage of women that I would not want to deal with. So the fact that I'm not dealing with 80% of the female population tells me that there's also the other perspective, which is if she likes you or not. So I think you have to take that into consideration as well. Like it's not just about what you want as a man, but it's also about what the woman wants, and both of these need to be like on the same page. And now if you take a black man in the West, we are a minority, right? And it wouldn't make logical sense to shut myself off either to black women or to women of any other race, right?
Okay.
Like in terms of just probability and your chance of finding like a suitable partner.
Yeah.
So for me, you have to be open, and if you are truly open, then of course there's a chance that, like, I don't know how much percentage of black men are with women from other races because they're just open to it.
So in my own situation, I'll say it's like experience is what gives me preference, right? Like because of my experience with these type of people, I'm thinking if I was in a situation where I had like, is it why like more options, I would go for something else. But before we continue, how is it dealing with Spanish girls? Like I'm black guys.
You mean how does it
Yeah,
happen?
I'm asking him like how is it like? Is it easy? Like you just walk up to them, like you walk up to any guy, hey, what's up? There's no racial blah blah blah. They mess with black guys.
Yeah, of course. In fact, when I first came to Spain, this was probably about 20 years ago. I came here on my Erasmus year, and I was in Norwich at the time. I was at uni in Norwich, and I found that I had a lot more success when I was in Spain. And even from the very first day, like I put on my clothes, I went out, I tried to look nice and I went out. Like I had like women actually, more or less calling at me, on the street, which is something that I'd never experienced before, like straight up, you know, like kind of this like
So the white girls
thirsty
are moving
behavior.
to you, basically.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
and if not moving, then at least like making certain comments, invitations, etc.
Okay.
I found they were a lot more direct and a lot more kind of on the front foot. But there was never, at least, not to say that there's no racism here because this is a whole different conversation. But at least in that regard, I never really found like, okay, this is a racial thing, you know.
So when you find
They were definitely
to jump
open.
in, but when you find yourself dating, like for example, a Spanish girl, it's what you're saying. They approach you and it's a lot easier. Is that what you're saying?
That was my first impression, yeah. And it's not like that's still the case, but they're not in any way closed. In my experience, they're not in any way closed. I've had 2 Spanish girlfriends, so, and they were quite serious, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And it was just the numbers. Go ahead, Dip. What were you gonna say?
No. I was listening to what he was saying. Like he's had 2 Spanish girlfriends, and everything was good. There was no issues.
No, not in a racial sense. Like
So I was saying
same
so like,
issues
based
as
on my
with
own,
any other relationship.
or any other type of relationship. Okay. So I was saying, like, just based on my own experience, I feel like if I was in the UK or in America or maybe even Spain, I'll probably move to. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't move to a black girl, but I'll probably want to move to a black girl that is more Spanish than Nigerian.
Right.
She could be Nigerian, but she's like Spanish in orientation. You understand? As opposed to moving to the Nigerian girl that is still Nigerian in her head.
Okay.
Understand?
So that the mentality it turns you off a lot.
Yeah, the mentality is way different. You understand?
It's funny you guys mentioned this mentality thing because that is
because it changes.
what I hear.
It changes.
It changes.
It changes once you leave Nigeria. It changes. You see that things are done in a different way. You understand? Like,
because if I liken it to this situation, people living here, like you know, black, not necessarily Nigerian or any other particular ethnic group, but let's just talk about black people. Like what you hear, they'll say the black men might say something, and they try and they call it's mentality they're referring to. So they'll say that, you know, black women are, you know, probably more less friendly. They don't take any nonsense, like all these stereotypes. So it's almost like people are packaging it differently.
I'm not even expecting anybody to take nonsense from me. No, first of all, I'm not even expecting anybody to take nonsense from me because I will not take nonsense from you. But I'm just saying that mentality is very important. I don't know, what example can I give? Maybe as we keep talking, 1 or 2 examples may come to my head. But but it's just that way they read. Like, why would I walk up to you and be like, hey, Alpha? Before I say something, you're already frowning your face like, oh my, this guy is about to say something to me. I'm not sure. It's not every time I'm trying to say something to you. Do you understand? Even 9 out of 10 times, I will not. That's not even my approach. If I'm trying to talk to you, I'll probably go to someone that knows you, as opposed to come to you straight away. So, but they always just the Nigerian girls, especially the Yoruba girls. They they are very quick to just be on the defensive. Like, what does he want?
But if that is really happening, and that's how, so I would say your opinion.
And I'm Yoruba, in case anybody's listening.
Right. So you're talking with people who are just like you. But the thing is, if that's how you feel, I'm assuming a lot of people in your group feel like that. Other men who are not married, who are looking for that partner, feel that way. So how are people getting together if this seems to be, is this like the general consensus? Is it just something? I don't think it's a unique view you have.
It's a view that a lot of people have. But at the end of the day, I guess we manage. What can we do? We manage. And at the end of the day, not all Nigerian girls are like that. You still have some that are open-minded. And, you know, they try and behave like how the rest of the world behaves. You still have some Nigerian girls like that. I mean, that are normal and have this Western mentality. You understand?
Okay.
You still have those that would holler at you instead of you hollering at them. So
that would be the consensus. Because I was going back to the numbers. I know we're talking about percentages. You can find percentages to suit anything you want. So I went to this research company, something called Pew. And so the numbers they were giving, so we're not saying that, Black women are not dating outside their race, but when they looked at the numbers, and I guess that's why the conversation comes in, for Black men, it was like 25%. For Black women, it was 12%.
25%.
25% of Black men. This is just whoever. So the thing is, you have to think about it. Depending on who is asking, where they're
That's
asking,
a lot lower
how
than
they're
I
asking.
thought.
Right.
Yeah,
So
actually, more than that.
That's a lot lower than I thought, to be honest. Like with the noise that people make about it, you would think it's like, you're getting to 50, 60%.
50-50
With
true.
there's
It's
no
true.
no more good men like argument, or they're
Yes.
taking all our men,
Bruh, like,
So,
but you
25%
sometimes
sounds real low.
right, yeah, no. So, and that's the thing, it will be give or take plus of, but really it's not 50%. But the thing is, I think it's probably more, and I'm talking more like, I wasn't even talking like relationships, but more like marriages. So I don't know in terms of dating, if they'll date and then, end up finding their way through left or right. But it just seems like half the Black women are doing it of the Black men. But it's 25%, which is, it's a quarter. So a quarter of the guys are ending up with somebody from another race. And so the question is, and why it's such a big topic is, like I was saying, it's the first thing is, when you ask, you will hear, and it's some celebrities who, I don't know how they feel based on how they grew up, but some of them will actually, verbalize and articulate the fact that they just feel they'll put down Black women. They'll literally put them down. They'll say, negative things. So I think with that, I don't have a problem with what I might call a preference. I do have a question as to what feeds that preference. But the thing is, when you're actually putting, the other side down, that's when it becomes an issue, and that's what we're hearing. And I think that's what blows it up. So it's when those people actually talk about it and say something, snarky, and then women jump on it. Now, in all fairness, looking at the other end from women on the receiving end as a woman who was living in a big city, when you do see it, it feels when you're in that situation, the percentage feels higher than it actually is. So it's like, it seems like if you walk around, if you're walking around New York City, the chances are it definitely looked like I didn't do a survey, but definitely looked like when I'm looking, just observing and just looking around, 50% of the Black males I would see were with someone who was of another race. So when I say another race, you could be white, you could be Asian, you could be Puerto Rican, but it definitely looked like that. So that's what I'm saying with the percentages. I hear what this research company is saying, but when you look at it, when you're just kind of moving around, it definitely looks higher.
Maybe they're higher in the big cities, right? Maybe that 25% is kind of national, but when you go to big cities like LA or New York, then it gets higher.
So as men, we've got, well, I'm not a man, but for the two of you, as men,
we need to switch his question around to you as well. You know that.
It's coming now. It's coming. Of course. Remember, I said we're here just this convo now. It's not interview. So it's like, when you think of it as men, what do you think? So do I hear your thing about culturally the mentality, but what do you think? Looking at this, an observation, knowing guys, being a man, what do you think would explain the reasoning for the preference or the choice or just that?
Okay, so first of all, you said something about putting the women down. Do you think anything else said, like, do you think that was putting them down?
Not
in
at
my
all.
own preference. It's just my okay.
It was just you explained your thought process.
Okay. So what do I think the reason is? I think for different people they have different reasons, right? Me, I like that cultural clash a little bit. Do you understand? Like, maybe me getting married to an Igbo girl or me getting married to a white girl, and I feel like it's interesting. My best relationship has been with someone from a different tribe. It was an Igbo girl I dated back in the day. It was one of my best relationships because I felt like we learned a lot from each other. So I feel like there's that, and there's also like I say, there's cultural clash. There's what I explained, which is the girls being stuck up sometimes, and I think there's also that large majority that just like white women. They've never experienced it before and would just like to see what it feels like. I think there's some that do it to look cool as well, I think. I think there's some black guys with low self-esteem that feel like if I'm dating a white girl,
It brings up
Yeah.
their
I'll be looked
points.
at a certain way.
I think even some of the celebrities
You think that
subconsciously view it like that,
do
you know,
that
like
too.
as in, okay, you get to a certain level, right? And the only thing that you could get to accompany that level of success is a white woman. You know, like I
I think
think
some guys do it for status.
I don't know what percentage it is, of course, but I
Yeah,
think
of course.
there's definitely something in there.
So definitely some people are looking for a change. Like, you know, if they had salmon all this time, all of a sudden they want to try, you know, duck. You know, not saying they just try something different. And of
They
course,
never had duck before, so
right. So they want to try something different, which they do have, which right, you know, they have that choice because that you do have that choice to try something different. And then of course the thing that we block the most is what you were saying, where it's like some guys, you know, based on how they grew up, maybe some chick, you know, in middle school or high school who was black said something they didn't like. So all of a sudden there's something sitting there. And so for them, they kind of walk through once they finally feel they've arrived. All of a sudden they've got this purse that can afford more. And so they feel like, you know, in order to be noticed, those chicks who used to say no, like they walk into the room, they can enter certain doors with a white woman that they feel they couldn't enter with someone who looked just like them. Okay.
and I think there's also a percentage that have also just been always around white women. That's all they've really been around.
Yeah.
They just
That
always
is
find
true.
themselves dating white women. So it's never a thing of preference. It's just that's what they've always been around.
That's what's there. That's what's
They
in front of
just-
them.
They just
You do
just
end
go
up with
with that.
people who you are around. Yes.
If
Yes.
for example, you're like a middle class black British guy, then your chances, even though I already said about you being in the minority anyway, right? But now if you're in like a particular socioeconomic circle, right, the chances of you meeting other black women, they're lower, right? They're lower just because like generally we're not in the same socioeconomic circle. So I think that just ties in with what Dippo said.
Okay. I hear that. So I guess you guys it somewhat answered my question. I think it is what we see, but there's only one sector we're blowing up. But we can definitely switch in terms of like talking about women. So for me, there is a smaller percentage. It's like so if we use the numbers, it's like okay, it's half. It's less than half of what the guys are doing, the women are doing. But
so it's like 6%, 5%.
So it's like let's say 25% black males are dating outside of their race, to the 12% of black females dating outside of their race. So the numbers are smaller. They're probably climbing in the last 10 years, but the numbers are smaller.
Why do you think the numbers are so low?
Because, and I'll tell you, this is what I see and this is what I think. I think in the past there's been this.
Okay. Sorry, go on, finish.
And there's been this false sense of, oh, I'm staying loyal. I only like me. Blah, 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 blah. Nobody sent you. Better whatever is in front of you that fits with you in terms of mentality. And that's the thing. And that's why this conversation always has to keep going. Because I've seen all the time, like convos where you see, you know, single black women who are talking about dating. So for example, LA, let's talk about LA because LA is notorious for that. I've had friends who will tell me, there's this lady I met, you know, connecting flights, became friends. She was telling me when she used to live in LA a couple years back, like they'd be at a club. And she said, literally, you know, you see a guy, a brother, you know, a brother coming towards you and literally just push you out the way to get, you know, the vanilla sister behind you. Like that like seems to be the norm. So there are certain geographical locations where it's more notorious than others. But back to my point, you will see women both in these locations where they have this false sense of, you know what, you know, and this is based, not even based on a knowledge, but just based on an idea. Oh, I only want a black man. I want to keep the black family alive and all this blah, 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 blah. So this false sense of loyalty, but they haven't really tried it. Whereas black men are like, yo, hey, Smarties, Skittles, hey, I'm going to try the color of the rainbow. What's up? And so I think that's it. And so a lot of the time women who may be more conservative, they have this, there's not that comfort level of actually, you know, sitting down or even it's being in a situation where, you know, a white guy would approach them. Where are they? They're probably going to the black clubs and, you know, so it's a couple of things. It's one, it's like this false sense of loyalty. Two, it's like, you know, are they in the places, in the rooms where they would meet a white man who would be interesting to them? That's the thing, because really, at the end of this mentality, what do we have in common? What do we like? You know, what do we laugh at? You know, and I think women have different things. But if I just spoke for myself, you know, can we laugh? Can we crack jokes? Can you make sense? Do you have enough sense? And so to meet those kind of people, like you in the right rooms to meet someone like that, regardless of the shade they are. So really, it's really access. So I think a lot of women aren't putting themselves in those positions to actually see that. And then, of course, last of all, I'm going to cap that round. Last of all, there is, and I haven't experienced it myself, but there is this, and I've seen it on some videos where it's commonplace where you'll see, you know, a black guy with someone of another nationality, but when you say black woman with someone of another nationality, there's some scorn, there's some criticism, there are words coming, and so it's like, is it? Sometimes I wonder, are black men not kind of doing it in higher numbers for the fear of that scorn or reprimand from their race?
Almost certainly.
So that's the thing. So that's, for me personally, I am an equal opportunity employer. I don't know if you remember the ads for Benetton. Benetton said, United Colors of Benetton. You know, submit your application. Race, it doesn't matter. But the thing is, I think more women are becoming more and more open to the idea that, you know what, he doesn't necessarily have to, it's okay for him not to have the same background. In fact, sometimes you might make a good match if you're completely different. And if you respect each other and respect each other's culture, there is that room for that. And I think that's almost a basis for some of the resentment, because you'll see a lot of, you know, single black females who are doing well. This one, I'm not talking about, you know, someone, you know, when they use the term, someone's looking for a leg up, but just a woman doing well, but hasn't been able to find someone. Some of that resentment they might have against black men dating outside of their races because they feel like they don't have that opportunity. They don't have those choices. But now I feel like they're aware that they do have those choices and they're exercising those choices, there'll be less noise. That's
okay. Cool. The other, I mean, you want to go?
Go ahead.
No, so finish. Go ahead.
Okay. I think I forgot what I was going to say.
You were about to say
go ahead,
other black women.
No, I was going to say.
I forget.
I was going to say, is the light skin dark skin thing worth a conversation? Because I feel like
yes,
that's
it is. It is. We can bring it up because it's, you know, we could tie it into that. So yeah, definitely that's another valid issue. It could be another video, but we could actually, you know, we could definitely bring it up.
Because I mean, I know people that are only interested in light skin babes.
Why?
And vice versa. I don't know. But for them, I think it's preference. I don't know. For them, I think it's preference. But me, I don't really care in that regard. Light skin, dark skin, I don't really care. It doesn't really matter.
Because this is something. So we've talked about like the interracial thing, different nationalities. Okay, we get that, blah blah blah. We know that, but it's like when we come now here, we're not talking. So we've gone from race to shades, and this is something that we exercise against each other.
Exactly. So shades is definitely, it could be same nationality self. It could be black Yoruba, light skin Yoruba. It could be dark Igbo, light skin Igbo. Do you understand?
Okay.
But some people just prefer light skin girls. But me, I mean, whichever one, doesn't matter. Whichever one that has sense. If she's light, if she's dark, it doesn't really matter. Do you understand?
But the question is, what is that preference for light skin for? Are you trying to get?
I think some people feel like they look good holding a light skin babe. Like, I think for some people it's that. It's like an accessory. Do you understand? If you hold a certain type of bag, people are looking at you.
The statement.
Like, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you're pulling that
again. You know?
So it's for
that's
prestige.
The only thing I can tie it to, really. That's the only thing I can tie it to, and maybe preference. Because some people just honestly prefer light skin babes.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is that, but it's like there probably would be different reasons, but I think the one we talk about and the one we're most aware of is the prestige factor, particularly in developing nations where it's like, you know what, if you have someone who's light skinned, it's a sign of, you know, you're doing well.
So for me, instead of having preference in that field, I would have preference in body types. So For me, his body type. Say, woman, this girl has a big ass. You find me there. Do you understand? You, you, you find me there.
Got
You
you.
get, you know, nice body. You find me there. I don't really care for the face because what I always do with your face.
You serious? Are
But
you serious?
nah, I mean, like your face could be like a 5.5. It's all good, but that body,
A 5.5.
I
I
mean,
mean,
like,
but whatever, you know what? It's whatever makes you happy, though.
yeah, I
Five
mean,
and a half is not that bad. We spoke about this.
5.5
Okay,
is not that bad.
but Ayo, your numbering system is a little off. Okay, Dikwa, let me tell you. According
Okay,
to
let's push it
Ayo's
to 6.
numbering
Let's push it to
system,
6.
Ayo's
Uh,
numbering system,
Mhm.
according to Ayo's numbering system, Beyonce is like an 8, and Kelly Rowland is what number?
a 9.
Mm.
Okay. Okay.
But funny, Beyonce doesn't really
No, there are
freak me
no
out that much,
sevens.
funny enough.
There are no sevens. That's really Kevin Samuel's system, huh? That's I have to-
Beyonce doesn't really freak me. I think I would pick facially. I would pick Halle Berry over Beyonce. I don't know if I'm talking rubbish.
No, I think her face is nice.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, who else again? In
I
that
think
black freak?
Beyonce is just like she's very charismatic. She's pretty. She's cute.
I think
Great
Beyonce. I
body
think Beyonce is
and
just
very
complete.
talented.
I think
Yeah,
she's just
exactly.
complete.
Exactly.
But like
Face alone
facially,
she doesn't win it on face alone.
yeah, she doesn't exactly. That's really nice face alone.
Hmm.
So you think Kelly Rowland is prettier than Beyonce, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I used to
Yes.
like there was another one from
Yes.
Destiny
Most
Child that
definitely.
she got booted out. I can't remember what her name was. Like
Oh, is it the one that started doing gospel music?
I don't know. Her name begins with
No,
L.
you're talking
Michelle.
about
Like
the one with the fire. Was it Pharaoh, whatever her name was? Are you talking
let,
about she was light? She had light eyes.
nah. See, I
Oh,
want to say
are you
Lakeisha,
talking
but I'm
about
just gonna sound
Latoya?
racist. Latoya, that's it. Latoya. Yeah,
I
I
mean,
like
they were all
Latoya.
fine girls. They're all fine girls, to be honest. They all were fine. But I guess we've kind of stretched away from the interracial thing. But it's
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. I wanted to say something else. The thing that I forgot to say was
go
that
ahead.
when we were speaking about the pressure that comes, the pressure and the scorn that comes when you're like a black person in an interracial relationship, and I think it's not just if you're a black person, but I think even if you're a white person, you might get this. If you're an Asian person, you also might get it. I have no idea. But this scorn, I think it comes down to something that I've recently started calling the black straitjacket, which is like,
Hmm.
yeah, like which is as black people, we're wearing straitjackets because we're not really allowed to express ourselves like in all our range of personalities, right? Because there's so much internal policing, right? And you see it everywhere. So we're being policed for the way we speak, for the music that we like to listen to, if it's not black enough, for the way we like to dress. If you're into certain subjects or something like that are not considered black enough,
Yeah.
so it's just an extension of that, right? It's just a more intimate extension of that, right? It's like, okay, well, we also now want to pass judgment upon who you sleep with. I don't think people think that it might come from a good place or something like that, but I really think it's one of the most limiting things about being black, which is like a repertoire of characters and behaviors that you are allowed to express, and if you're not inside that framework, then
Mm-hmm.
you start to lose black points. You're seen as less
Gotcha.
black. And I think having a white girlfriend is one of the things that can make you lose the most points. It doesn't matter how, which ties me into another thing that I wanted to speak about, which was Umar Johnson's comments about Umar Johnson. You all know Umar
Yeah, I
Johnson,
remember
I guess.
Doctor. Yeah, yes, he's very
Yeah.
pro Black
So,
Power.
so what he says about interracial dating is that he doesn't care what you do as a black man, like what you've built, all your qualifications, whatever you've done with your life. The most important thing that you can do as a black man is to marry a black woman. So therefore, like a high percentage of black achievers are, in his eyes, sellouts because they didn't marry black women, and I think that's That's very, very limited.
Very obnoxious.
So
Yeah,
it's
I would say that.
narrow-minded,
Yeah, but
yes. It's narrow-minded, yes, but I'll tell you why he has that opinion. So, and this is all hearsay. I won't say it's hearsay, but it's just been talked across the years. So they were saying, I want to say it was in the 60s or 70s, whenever they started giving, what do you call it? Like when you give people which support. What's that support? The government support.
welfare.
Welfare, that's what I'm looking for. When they started giving welfare, at that time they were, from what I understand, the grounds for giving welfare, if you didn't have someone in the home and this, that. So there's been this talk that there was this systematic attack on the black family unit. So it's like you break down the black family, you break down the unit, then you have things scattered and things aren't as solid, and from the roots of like Black Panther. Like, so if you hit the roots, so if the black family was broken down, then they won't be organized, and that you have less people, unified to continue fighting that fight. And so, when they started this welfare thing, you got welfare if you were a single black mother, and so that kind of exploded. And so you wouldn't have a man within the house, and the more money you had, you'd get if you didn't have a man in the house. So based on that thinking, his thinking is like, you know what, we need to get back to where we were, where you had strong black families, as opposed to, a slew of baby mothers. Like, because with that, it's like how much intention or how much effect can you have on children if you're not living in the house with them? So it's like you may even say, you may have good intentions, you may even try to give child support, but how strong can that family be? How well raised can those children be if they're not around their father all the time? So to him, that's his reasoning. So that's just one scope. So when you look at it through a huge scope, it looks like, oh my goodness, this guy's narrow-minded. You look through another scope, it's like, I get what he's saying, but there has to be like a medium. Yeah, it's like a lot of these things have to meet themselves in the middle. That's things. Yeah, he almost, sometimes when you listen to him, and he's not an aggressive brother, he just speaks. So it's like you listen to the message, you hear what he's saying, but I see that's what, I don't always agree with him, but I see where he's coming from with that. And he's coming more for like the black power thing, that, you know what, we need to get the black family together, because really when you look at the averages, I don't have the percentages, but definitely they're more, more single homes, single mothers now than they were before. It's now more commonplace. It's more accepted. It's the norm. I won't say it's the norm, but it's becoming the norm. And the side effect could be the weakening of, black males, because it's like if you're a woman raising boys and women, how can a woman? The question now is, can a woman raise a man? And so this is all what goes.
But what kind of man is it going to be?
Is she gonna raise?
Right, that's the thing, because what were you talking about? Our homie, we're talking about, what are the state of men today in terms of like how strong are they? And so that's also the question, or the resentment you might see a black woman might have when she sees a solid black man, both financially and both like just in character, attentive to his kids, but is with a white woman. And the question there is like, you know what, the white unit's strong and powerful, they've already got it going on. But whereas it's like the black family's struggling right now. So that's where some of that resentment comes in when you boil it down to children. What were you going to say?
You know what I'd say to that person that has resentment in that case? Then they need to step their game up, because this thing about relationships and marriages, if we go back, this is a competition. This is a competition. You know what I mean? No one's out here just like giving away anything. There are no gifts or anything like that. We're competing. We're competing for resources, but we're also competing to spread our genes. And so if someone is with someone else, that just means that they outcompeted you.
So that sounds all good and well. I love that you're saying that, but I think some of the question, some of the resentment is like they're saying it's on an even playing field. Like, so when we talk about competing, so when you're a woman competing for the attention of a man, what are you competing with? It's not about power, it's not about muscles. So it's really about appearance. Because first of all, coming through the door, how do you look? How do you speak? How do you present yourself? How do you carry yourself? How are you wearing those clothes? And I think anybody will tell you, the average sister, I hear your scoring system, but the average sister on the average day is at least a 6 or 7. I know you said there's no such thing as 7, but I say this to say that I feel like, and this, when you coin the term, or when the term was coined, black girl magic, it's a real term, and I believe in it, not just because I'm black, but because it's true. The average woman who's a black woman on the average day still looks pretty good. So when you talk about that, so who is drawing up the rules for this competition? Because if the average black woman is without any effort doing pretty good, and then she put in a little effort and she's a 10, and the thing is, you see a lot of single women now great jobs, good looking, great character, great personality, funny, all these things. Why are they single, yo?
Dips,
So
you want to
then
step
the
in?
question now comes in, like, really, is it really about the competition that you're talking about? Because what you said makes sense. Like, you know, may the fittest person win. But
Yeah.
we're coming in all shapes and sizes with all kind of gifts, but still coming back home from the Olympics with no medals.
People have scattered my head.
Okay, all right. So yeah, let me respond to that. The competition is not just about looks, right?
Okay.
The competition is not just about looks. So, for example, a man competing in mainstream society, he needs to have his finances together. He needs
Yes.
to be in shape. He needs to have his confidence down so he can actually approach women. He needs to be dressed well and not looking bummy, crusty, stuff like that. You know what I mean? And so it's not just that I need to look good. You know, there are other things that I need for me to be able to successfully
So it's
compete
extra. You
with
have to
other
put extra
males.
work for the black man.
Yeah. So one thing that well, I'm not even gonna go there. But what I'm trying to say is that no, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna go there. But the competing
Before
thing,
they come for Ayo.
the most important thing is, well, you know, I'm far away. But the most important thing is what Dips was saying at the beginning about the character. This thing about smiling. I'm not in Nigeria, but like when I listen to some of these shows, like The Roommates, Kevin Samuels, there are a lot of African Americans that are speaking just about this one thing, about the smiling thing, right? Like that makes a difference. So what we're talking about is about how this interaction is for me and you, right? We're not even on a date. Let's say we're not even on a date. We're just in a bar, and you know you're 8 or adjustable 6, and you know, how is our interaction together from the time, if say that you actually like me, what are you doing? Are you sending me signals? Are you coming to approach me? Or is it that you kind of like me, but even when I'm coming to speak to you, you're still making it difficult for you? You know, so there are a lot of things in terms of competing, but for me it still comes down to this, like if, like you said about the average 6.5, 7, so in that range I'm interested, right? Regardless of skin tone, I'm interested, and if we're out, I'm making my approaches. So at the end of the day, like, what the person that I end up with is the person that reciprocated that, right? Is like I had the initial push, the initial attraction, and I made the approach, and they reciprocated my energy, and we were able to take the interaction further. So that's what I mean about competing. If you want something, if you want to be in a relationship with a man, when the man approaches you, then you know you can't be having attitudes that are not conducive to this going further. I don't know if I'm making myself
No. So
understood.
I want to cap what you're saying. So we've established that when you're talking about the rules of engagement in terms of doing stuff for, you know, approaching a man, for a woman, for a black woman, we're talking about temperament, about a smile, just being more engaging and being more inviting.
Feminine.
Oh, what you trying to say, bro?
Yeah.
You trying to
Just
say we're
wanted to
not feminine?
drop that bomb in there.
Bro.
Like
Oh, so
basically, it
what?
comes down to that. It comes down to that.
So what you're
Not feminine.
saying is we're losing out because we're not being as feminine.
I'm not saying
Pleasant.
that. I'm saying that
Pleasant.
if someone is losing in the competition and they've got their looks and they've got everything else together, then it might be that. If someone is losing, you know, and if you are seeing a black man with a white woman and you're feeling resentful, then you're losing, you know. And the reason you might be
If
losing
we
is
feel like
maybe
losing
not
out
your.
as the individual, we need to go back
Sure.
and look at ourselves and look and see if we're actually walking with feminine energy, feminine presence.
Sure.
Do you have a breakdown on what you consider feminine?
Woo.
Like what's inviting, like in terms of what you'd say, like, you know, other than being soft and cuddly, what else would you describe as being receptive? Like you said, the smile, you know, but are you able to articulate what you perceive as feminine?
Yeah, I could articulate it, and I'd prefer to do it with my own words, and I'd hopefully like I can do that originally. But it's got to do with being open, right? I think from videos that I've seen about, because of course, feminine energy can be held in any type of body, a masculine or a feminine or a female body. But feminine energy, I believe, is about being open, right? And that actually is can be seen as an Achilles heel of a very feminine person, that they're too open, so that therefore they can be hurt. But the it's it's about receiving. It's about receiving and being receptive. And even I think even if that's not saying that you need to accept everyone, even if you need to reject someone, you can also still stay in your feminine state
And
while
reject.
rejecting someone. You know,
Yes.
like
Yes.
it happens
Yes.
if anyone goes out looking for women, and it happens to them many times a night that you're rejected by a woman, but she took now to then flip it round, like when you're rejected by someone that's not in their feminine, they could be like, "No, get the fuck out of here, you dusty motherfucker!" Like, they the way they reject you will also
Right.
not be very feminine,
Right.
you know.
Right.
So I think
Right.
I
I
think
hear
it's
you.
got to do with stuff like
I hear you. I mean, even with that is a great qualifier, a great way to break it down, and great way to describe it. But I still feel like there are women out there. Of course, each woman has to look in the mirror and ask herself that question. But there is this talk of being feminine, feminine wild, and da 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 da.
that. Hmm.
But it's like, also keeping in mind based, and that's what makes it different. There are a lot of women, and let me just stick with black women and say a lot of black women who've been through it, been through something. One of our superpowers is getting through it and still keeping on, keep moving. It's almost not. It's almost not a compliment to me. Like, oh, a strong black woman. It's not a compliment, because then you're used to going through things, and it's kind of hard
Hmm.
to be strong and do all those things and suddenly throw it down and be open. You've had to fight
Exactly.
so long. It's like saying a
Exactly.
man should just suddenly stop being a man and be a woman. Like, you've had to do so many masculine things. You've had to fight so much for whether you were a single mother, whether you had to fight for your family, whatever you had to do to fight as a black woman walking through this world. I won't just say this country, walking through this world with all that's going on. It's a
Hmm.
little harder to be feminine and soft. Whereas if you compare to our vanilla sisters, who I
Hmm.
love all the same, they may not. Some may not have, a good number may not have had that similar experience. They may have had
That's a
dad
good
who,
point.
who, who treated them like a princess.
Uh,
They are put on a pedestal, where the term Karen was coined from, that sense of
mhm.
entitlement that everything revolves around you. So if you
Yeah.
give a request, it must go. Whereas as a black woman, you've had to hustle, 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 and you keep your head
Sure.
down, you're just grinding. And so it's kind of hard to all of a sudden, after all that grinding, just take off that robe. Yes, so I think I hear what you're saying. There is a part to be considered in all of
Hmm.
that. But also, I feel like, men should also look at that dynamic. Like, do when you think, because you said ultimately it's down to genetics. So as a man, yes, you want someone who's feminine, but you want someone, if something happens to you or you're not
Hmm.
available for a certain period of time, is she going to be able
Hmm.
to take care of yours, or is she just going to
I
crumble to pieces?
No, I think that's not a worry at all. Like I don't worry about a mother of my child that is, if I'm not in the picture, she's not able to cope. I think this is more instinctual, right? Unless there's some deeper type
Got
of
you,
issue,
got you, got you.
right?
So you're not
But what
thinking past that, but just instinct, feminine energy, more
yeah.
inviting. The more, the harder, the stronger exterior. And if you had time to get to know them, but if it's like speed dating, technically, like, okay, 10, 20 minutes or just meeting, the person you'll be
Hmm.
more drawn to is the person who's smiling and doesn't have care in the world.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah.
Okay.
There's just like a rather than trying to name this, there's something that you feel, right, in the presence of masculinity and in the presence of femininity. It's a feeling, and this feeling comes with certain attitudes, and if there's flirtation involved, it's like it's a kind of it's a game,
I hear you. I hear
as
you.
well.
That's a great way to look at it. I'll say, Dipper, we kind of, you have anything to throw
I
in, like
think
when you're approaching chicks?
I think I think some of the examples that I was giving also made me kind of look at everything different all of a sudden, right?
Hmm.
So first
Hit me.
so first of all so first of all, Nigeria is not a happy place. Everybody is on the defensive.
Right.
So if you talk to someone, they're most likely going to be like, What
Yeah.
do you want? As
Yeah.
opposed to
With a
the white
shield and a
woman who
wall.
has, as opposed to the white woman who has probably had it easy and she's from a happy, smiley environment. When you approach her, she's going to be like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, she had summer holidays, you know, the
Yeah,
travel, the
she,
stuff,
she's not thinking
she
about
got
somebody
pocket
that's trying to
money.
she gets
Right,
that kind of thing. So I think a lot of us wear our environments
Our
on our
experiences,
sleeves.
yes. We walk around with our experiences. We carry them around.
Unintentionally, Jigga,
Yeah,
just
we are
just
a
one of those
result
things.
of what we've experienced. Yes.
Yeah, product of the environment, kind of.
Boom.
You just walk
Boom.
around with that.
Boom. And I'm not
So it's
saying
not
people
like
should take on those kind of I'm not saying you should take on like a project, but I think that should be a consideration. Like you're having conversations like this where it's like, you know what? What is she about? I mean, and I know, you know, technically and realistically, you may not, you know, a situation where it's like it's a hot club and the chicks everywhere. You don't have time to boom break it down. But maybe you shouldn't be looking for a life partner in that kind of background, in that scenario.
Where are you searching?
I mean,
You're
you
like,
know,
where are
then
you
that's a
searching? Like, what
question,
kind of places are you
bro.
looking?
Beautiful. That's a good question because now, you know, things have kind of changed. You know, people are doing the online thing. I don't know how successful it is, but people are doing it, and they are trying to link people up based on those kind of interests. But I mean, there are some success stories, but the percentages.
People are getting together off Clubhouse.
So this Clubhouse, I've been hearing about this club. People are meeting on Clubhouse now.
People are meeting on Clubhouse.
It's an app.
And it's becoming a thing. Yeah, it's an app. It's an app. It's one
And
of
what's
those
it for?
Has it gone through the beta testing? Is it out now for everyone?
Yeah. So it's out for everybody. It's out on Android, out on everything.
I mean,
So it's
I don't
one of
really
those
go on
talking kind of apps where you
I
just
try and go on when you're on,
hop into
but by the time
different
I go
rooms.
on, you're off.
Okay, you got one already.
You invited me last year. Now, when did you invite me? Beginning of the year or end of last year?
So you accepted and everything.
Yeah, I accepted the invitation you gave me that time. So I jump on sometimes. But what you're saying really is
I
that
just jump in. I just jump in and out every now and then because some of the conversations are rubbish anyway. I won't lie. So, but
can someone explain
it's
what this is just for someone
it's
that
like
doesn't know?
how would you even explain it? It's like it's one of those social apps where you just hop into different rooms and there are different people there, and then maybe each room might have a theme, right? And then if you're interested in that kind of conversation, you'd have seen it on your timeline. So you see the different type of conversations in your timeline, and you choose which type, and you choose what you want to hop into. So let's say you hop into this room now. Let's say the title of this room is called "Women Are Stuck Up." It might be something you're interested in talking about. So you hop into the room, and then they invite you in, and then you can give your own 2 cents. So in that kind of room, there'll be like 50 people, and they're like, "Oh, hey, what's up? What do you have to say about this? This is what we're talking about." And you guys all talk and everything. But it's all video. I'm sorry, it's all audio. It's not audio.
Video. So how do you meet someone? How do you see someone and say, "Oh, that person's interesting"?
So let's say, so right now, 3 of us are in a room, right? Let's say Okwe sees the title of this conversation. He's like, "Oh, okay, this is something I'm interested in," and he hops in. You can invite him in the room if you're the one that created the room. You can invite him, and then he'll join us in the conversation, and we'll all talk.
Okay.
It's very.
And then if I like what you say, maybe I can have like a personal conversation.
Yeah, you can have like a personal conversation. Yeah, you can DM him or whatever. DM him or her. You guys talk.
So Dips, have you hollered at anybody
Follow each other.
on there?
I mean,
on Clubhouse? Any Clubhouse romances for you?
No, not anything serious. Just a DM here or there. Nothing serious.
That's it. Nothing.
Nothing that led to anything.
So it's still early days yet.
Nothing
I mean, as we round up, looking at the percentages, so we're saying
it's all
that
just friendships, really.
Yeah, the possibility of meeting someone who might, check more of the boxes might be this online dating phenomenon. So from what I just quickly searched right now, so I'm only using US data because the US survey people are only surveying people in the States right now over this. But then they were saying here, like, 3 in 10 Americans, so maybe 30% of people are actually on the apps. And out of that 30%, they said about 23% will actually go on at least one date. But 12% end in a successful relationship. I know someone personally who went on a website, met someone, they're married, they have a kid, and they're cool, they're good. But realize that's
it can work.
That's
like
12%.
12%. That's 12%.
12, maybe even that's probably even too safe. I'm not even sure a lot of them work like
Right,
that, but
right, because
it can work
to
though.
see,
It can work.
it can work, but it's like, what are the odds of that? So it's just, I
Can
mean,
work.
this competition kind of went round, but I kind of like where it went and how it's. So at the end of the day, if we begin to see each other better, we see where we're coming from. We'll be less judgmental about whether the person's masculine, feminine. Yes, that plays a part, but we also have to understand, where we're coming from. And also, I feel each person, anybody, both male and female, we also need to look into the mirror. As a woman, I need to look into the mirror. What kind of energy am I giving off? Yes, I'm, strong, been there, been through this, had to hustle, had to grustle. But do I need to also maybe soften up a little bit to be more appealing? I don't know, but that's it. That's a thought. I know, because in the past, people will see me on some videos like, yeah, she's like, rah, rah, rah. She's like, they'll say that she's about that, like that. And that's just me talking, being animated. But who am I when the camera's off and I'm just chilling, sitting down, having a conversation? I think most people say I'm chill. Unless I have something to say, I'm chill. So I think it also plays a part. We have all this thing about interracial thing, is it preference versus choice, or is love just love? I think we all both sides need to look and be more accommodating and less judgmental. And you said something, Ayo, about how the black race, we box ourselves in with these rules that we created for ourselves. And
the straight jacket.
What did you say? Yeah,
the straight jacket.
I almost think it might be from the roots of where we came from. We come from, we were enslaved, we were judged. At this point, it's like,
What did this?
we feel a need to prove ourselves.
Yeah.
Whereas, maybe white people haven't been through that. And so they have that freedom of being, but we still are a little, still smaller. We're still coming up. It's like we're still a younger group. We've been being independent of slavery, not as long as they have even been enslaved. I don't know. I'm just assuming.
They have.
Just
they
that.
Have.
Like we've held ourselves. We've been, because they have that crabs in a barrel syndrome too. It's like we've been held down for so long. We're only just beginning to figure out, I like fresh air. Oh, I like this. So we're getting there. And so the result will be a combination of different things, I think. But I like the way you said that, because it's true. We do judge ourselves more, because when you think about it, a black gay man, feels more judgment than a white gay man.
I saw there was a talk the other day. It's completely off topic, but it was like, is being homosexual
so this thing I started doing that thing
un-African?
Your voice is like slurring.
Oh, let me take you out and see. Come back. Hold on. All right, go ahead, Ayo.
Is homosexuality un-African?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they had a whole panel, like a 1-hour debate about this, like, and I was just like, whew, this it's hard. It's hard. Like it's like that. You're like, and I feel like white people, they're allowed to be anything. They're allowed to be emos, they're allowed to be rockers, they're allowed to be goths, they're allowed to be gay, they're allowed to be.
They don't have those titles. You're not the angry black man or the angry black woman or the chicken head or the the money grabber, the what's it called, the gold digger. They don't necessarily come with those titles. And so I think in the midst of this, all of this, we've been suppressed. And I think that plays a part too. So we see somebody else who looks like they're breaking out. It's like, what, you're leaving me here? I mean, this interracial dating and the antagonism that comes with interracial dating goes, I think, from what I'm seeing now, goes a lot deeper than just what we're seeing. So it goes a lot deeper. It's like we're just seeing these. So I think, is there a solution for it? No. Is there something wrong with it? No. I think the only question is when we talked about people putting down, one race and lifting up the other, as opposed to just saying, this is what was in front of me, this is what I like, love is love. But it's not love is love when you start putting down a certain set of people based on nothing, just putting them down because you want to justify your choice. That's when interracial dating you can consider it gone wrong. But interracial dating as a phenomenon, as a thing, it's fine. Love is love. Whoever's in front of you, as long as they share those qualities that you have, that you believe in and you want, they check all the boxes. The color of their skin can be like the last thing. And different cultures, as long as you're both willing to meet each other and respect each other's cultures, it can work. So I think that's the thing. And I think, more black women who are now opening up their choices, who feel less judged and boxed in, will have less of that antagonism when they see, a white woman with a black man who appears to be like a catch. And I think there'll be less less antagonism when it comes to that. So yeah, I think it's a work in progress, just round and round, but it's a topic that everybody likes to talk about. I'm trying to see if Dikwa will come back before we sign out. But yeah, I mean,
I had like still a few more points I wanted to touch
oh
on.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I
Let me hear,
don't know
bro.
if you
Let me
were.
hear.
Like,
Yeah.
I'll give a roundup and then maybe you can choose. One was about the why is the number so low in terms of the black women dating outside the race, and I thought maybe this had something to do with fetishization.
Fetishizing, yes. Yes.
Like as in among females, it's from different cultures. Like I know for men, like for females, there's that idea of the Latin lover, and then there's a black man
Yes.
and stuff like that. But definitely for men, you have like things like about Latin women, things about like Italian women, things about black women, things about we're talking about fetishes, right? For Asian women, everything like that. So I think it's normal, like when you're like a teenager or something like that, you want a piece of all of that, right? Because you've heard like,
What
oh,
those stereotypes are like.
Asian
Oh, you're
women, like,
curious
yeah,
about a
oh,
stereotype you heard.
Latin women, like,
Yes.
that, so you kind of like it's kind of normal that you like, you want to try
You be curious.
some of
Yes.
everything, yeah.
That's a good point.
The other thing I heard, this is super interesting actually. I heard Kevin Samuel speak about this a couple of times, and with another doctor. I can't remember what he's a doctor of. It was about the fact that in America, there are white women that are like going to classes to learn about black men so they can be better partners for black men.
Oh wow!
Like as in, so kind of quote unquote predatory white women.
Literally.
Like they'll learn how to cook jollof rice. They'll learn how to twerk, and
Damn.
But
I
that's
didn't know
one
this.
thing. Competing.
Yeah.
This is when it comes
The
down to
competition. The competition is becoming tough. It's not just a given that if he looks like me, that we have something in common. There has to be more to it. I mean, women, we can also give that kind of competition because, the world is round and, things always, in terms of fads, they go up and down. I don't know necessarily think you're better. Oh, good. Welcome back. I was giving us some kind of synopsis about, please, I kind of summarize those two things you said before we round up.
Oh, the first was about speaking about fetishization of women of different ethnicities. Like, so we're speaking about maybe that's why black men are more likely to date outside their race than black women, because as men, as young men, we often hear fetishes about women from specific cultures, right? And there are so many, right? There's like, oh, okay, like a blonde woman, she's fun. French woman, I'm not even gonna say that. Italian women, and you got like Latin women, and then you got Asian women, and each of these, like supposedly, even before the time you're 16, you already have some preconceived ideas about the different ways that the different ways these women are very sexy, but in very different ways.
Right.
So you're already very curious, before you're even 18 about.
Colombia.
Yeah, you see, I'm just not gonna say nothing.
I mean, that's interesting, and that Kevin Samuel piece and tie-in is fodder for the next conversation we'll be having sometime soon when we tie in like the masculinity, femininity, the Kevin Samuel disciples. And those who just look at him like side eye. So that'll be another conversation.
I think
I rock with him.
Okay, you know what? Hold what you rock with, because we're gonna have another conversation. We're gonna get
what
together.
Do you think about him?
I want to talk to his disciples, but I don't want to talk about it right now. Hold, you know how the choir when they say, hold that note. Hold that note.
Yeah, I watch him. I like him. We're not allowed to speak.
You feel like you agree with some of these things?
I'll get Lamio on. So you're a disciple too, Dippo. Yeah, Kevin Samuel.
No, I mean, I feel like a lot. I feel like a lot of the things he says are like all those what they call like hard truths,
Yeah.
So you feel like he's being a bit too
beautiful. So there you go. I've got my at least three man lineup for my next conversation, which I'll kind of holler at you guys within the week. So we'll fix a date because it's been stewing. What did you want to say, Ayo?
No, because I didn't tell him about the other thing about the predatory white women.
Oh, okay. Yeah, please tell him.
Like Kevin Samuels spoke about the fact that there are white women in America that are going to university classes to learn about black men so they can make better partners for black men. They're learning how to cook, like, you know, African American food, to dance to, you know, twerking, dancing to specific music, so they can increase their chances and make themselves more competitive in the market that they're after, which in this case is black men.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Okay.
And so
The final thing was also preferences, right? I think there are two types of preference, but the question is it okay to have preferences, right? Is it okay for you to be like,
Yeah, I think it's
oh,
okay.
you know what, like I only go for this, or I only go for that. Like, I
There's
don't
a reason
find,
you only
like,
go for what you go for.
Okay.
I think the preference is okay. Like what I said before, you dropped off for a second. Where I was saying I don't have an issue with preference, but when your preference requires you putting down the other side that you're not choosing, that's when preference becomes harmful. The same thing when you say it's a choice. It's my preference. You know, using those words interchangeably. Hey, it's your prerogative. But if you have to place
would you call this putting down? Right? I saw a video some days ago. They asked the girl, what do you think about Nigerian men? Would you go for them? She's like, no. And then she starts laughing. Then the guy goes, why? She now goes, because they're 419. I don't blame her. I'm not 419, but I don't blame her, right? Because I mean,
I can understand
lots of
that.
Niger guys are doing 419. So that is what we have to deal with.
Is she Nigerian? The girl that said
she's black, but she's not Nigerian.
She's not Nigerian. So that's just her general scope of it. She doesn't have a true understanding. And unfortunately,
that's generalizing. But
that's exactly. Unfortunately, she's using one thing to generalize across when maybe it's 10-15% of Nigerian males that might do that. So you're now putting that stamp on 100% of them. That's not fair. Yeah, it's unfair. It's not totally inaccurate, but it's unfair generalization.
Yeah. But Jonas, I mean, you would understand when she said that.
You can see where she's coming from, and that's someone who you could just
180 million.
Huh?
180 million Nigerian people.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying you would understand where she's coming from.
You can understand where she's coming from, and that's somebody you might just
probably
go to the side. That's somebody I'd want to like, yo, let me holler at you.
Let me educate you.
You can use your discretion. Like you can know someone who's doing 419 and someone who what's that Scooby Doo Hush Puppy. Like if you're with a dude, you don't know what he's doing, but he's living like that in Dubai. Then you want to be with someone who's doing 419 because I don't think anybody had any question as to what Hush Puppy's source of income was from. Like it's not like he had some big company. He had some kind, like it wasn't an explainable source of income. He was just walking around bragging, and he just had this. I think a lot of people who are hardworking you might want to flex a little bit, but when you have your whole flex on IG, like just man, you're a little questionable. So you also have to ask yourself: do you have discretion? Are you opening your eyes? So yeah, that's she might need some education. I won't kill her for that, but I'll pull her to the side to educate. Like, you can't really put that title because if you're a low percentage and now everyone just label the whole nationality as 419. And those jokes do come up in movies now when they talk about Nigerian hair or it comes up a little bit, like the 419 stuff. Like it comes up. But
it comes on a lot.
It comes up just sprinkles of it.
I have been chatting with someone one time, and the minute I said I was from Nigeria, she just stopped talking to me.
Damn. Wow. Those emails too. Those emails don't help. My name is Chukwumaka.
That's what I was gonna say. It does come up. It comes up in my
something. Yeah, that they might get those emails, so that plays a part too. But yeah, we're just here to educate. There are enough people now, I think, Nigerians in the main, on the main stage where you can't claim not to know. We do other things. You go to any hospital, a huge chunk of black people you see are Nigerian working as healthcare providers. So you can't say you don't know. And so you see them in the business arena, you see them, you see them in Hollywood, you're seeing them everywhere. Music is on fire right now. Afrobeats is the hottest thing right now. There's no way you go that you don't hear Afrobeats. You can go to anywhere. And so there's less of an excuse or I don't really know. That's what I've just heard. Yeah. Now you need to educate yourself. I may not want to even be with someone who's close-minded, who's not open to like, okay, this doesn't signify, the whole. It's like me saying that all white women are Karens. That's not true. Yeah. So generalizing.
I think.
So I mean, that's the
probably most black people on this earth are Nigerian in some way, shape, or form.
What'd you say?
Like, I said I think most black people on this earth are probably Nigerian in some way, shape, or form. Like, because like a lot of them in the diaspora, like in South America, in North America, a lot of them they'll trace their lineage back to
Back
Nigeria.
to Nigeria. For real?
So, but anyway, these things are cultural, so I digress.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, I feel like we had a good conversation, a good summary, and just to tie it all together, it was,
absolutely.
Interracial dating, preference, choice versus love is love. And like I was saying, preference, choice, I probably use them interchangeably. Just choosing like that. My problem with the choosing is like, okay, if you have to put somebody down, that's a problem. And then also it's like us reflecting. Love is love, but it's like sometimes, understanding where that other person is. Like, who is this person? Have you had enough time to get to know them? And that's the question. But it's like, interracial dating is not going anywhere. I think it's more or less, And then the thing is too, before I go, well, we didn't really jump on that, but I've noticed, and realized that there seems to be more judgment against Black women doing the interracial dating as opposed to Black men. Black men do it twice as much, but they get half the judgment. But when Black women do it, the same Black men that are doing it get judged like a whole lot more. So it seems to be a double standard here.
I think it's both ways.
Yeah, I feel quite a lot of judgment like goes towards Black men for doing this. Like, it might be disproportionate, but maybe because it's more of a shock or something like that. You're like, oh, they're doing it too.
So I guess so at this point, I guess maybe that's it. They're doing it too. Yes, we've opened eye, shine your eye. So the thing is now, I just feel women, open up your choices, look further, look within. I mean, sometimes they joke around and say, oh, they want a G, somebody with swag. You can find a lot of people. Like I have this. I don't know if you guys saw my little duet I did with this guy on both IG and TikTok. Like that's a homie from UK, white guy. He's red beard. That dude has swag, so it's like open your eyes and you'll find what you're looking for. It doesn't have to always look the way you expect it to look. You'll come looking different. I think when more of that happens, well, the world's your oyster. That's how I feel. So yeah, at this point, we'll sign out. I'm definitely going to be talking about the Kevin Samuel thing in the next week or so. So I'm going to hit everybody up and we're going to have another conversation. But for me, guys, what would you like to say? I know, if we start from the end with Dikwa, any last words you have for us?
I mean, love is love, choice is choice.
Yeah.
I mean, do what you will, just don't bash anybody as you're doing it.
All right, that's I'm cool with that. And on Spotify, your podcast is Unscripted.
Yeah,
Let me let you talk.
Podcast. Yeah,
but I think, are you still doing stuff on YouTube?
For now, I think I'm just doing audio.
Okay, yeah, the audio. That's how you got this. You got this show. I got this show based on listening to you one night. Like, let me listen to this. So yeah. So for now, he's on Spotify, Unscripted podcast. Okay, Ayo, what's up with you? Like, any last words for us?
No, not really. I think I said too much. Possibly. Yeah, like, I need to.
No, you said just enough.
Changing my residence.
Some more. Yeah, saving some more for the Kevin Samuel conversation. Anything you want to push out there that you're working on right now, sir?
That I'm working on. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No. Nothing relevant. Let's say nothing relevant.
Nothing that he's ready to disclose right now. As we talk more, he'll have more for us. He is one of my
YouTube channel is kind of empty right now, but
no, that's fine. So he's one of my informal producers, and he be coming up with a theme song I'm coming up with shortly. So stay tuned. But anyway, guys, thank you for joining us, and adios, amigos. See y'all later.